Hey YouTube, in today's video, we're going to cover a very clever cryptocurrency project that I've been using for a little while. I wanted to share with you why it's exciting, why it's got some potential, and why you might want to jump into it. What is it, my friends? Well, you probably already guessed it. It is Klever. Today we're talking Klever, we're going to talk the app, we're going to talk about why it's special, and a whole bunch of other things that you don't want to miss coming right up. All right, friends, thank you guys so much for joining me. I'm Wes Spencer, and in this channel, we cover all things cryptocurrency, cybersecurity, entrepreneurialism, and just building your own financial freedom. All of these things are really exciting to me, and honestly, I love the opportunity just to bring you into my sphere of influence. I don't really do price predictions. I don't like to do moon pumping and all that other stuff that you'll see in other channels. I'm not calling names out or anything like that. There's no hate here, but I do like to cover the things that are interesting to me as a technologist. Hey, as we jump in, would you hit the subscribe for me? It does really go a long way and does mean a lot to me. So we're talking about Klever today, and I don't know if you've heard of it or not. You are probably familiar with the Tron cryptocurrency project and the Tron Wallet. And this is sort of an evolution from Tron into Klever. And there's some interesting things in their journey from an innovation perspective that as I began to look into it, it really captured me. And so I'm just going to share my screen out and we're going to walk through a couple things in today's video. I'm going to share with you the journey of Klever, and then I'm going to give you a quick tour through the app, and then we'll jump back into the price and why I think the Klever token itself stands a lot to gain just from an innovation perspective, and very likely makes it a really good investment opportunity, both for its current price and for its potential because of the innovation behind it with the entire Klever ecosystem. So I hope that sounds good as a progression into this video, and I thought I'd just start with this article right here. You may be kind of doing some Googling, trying to figure out the history and background of Klever, and this is really the idea behind it. It was Tron Wallet, and they've moved it to a new home called Klever, or Klever.io. And so I'm gonna go ahead and just show you their website. And there's a lot inside of all of this, and there's some, standard things that you would normally expect to see inside of any cryptocurrency project, but then there's some really exciting things as well that I'm going to cover that you don't want to miss as well. So first of all, easy to acquire. So if you've got a debit card, I haven't actually tried it with a credit card. I do know there are some credit cards that just simply won't work based on the bank itself and their understanding of how you buy cryptocurrency with credit. But I have actually used this with a debit card, and I can confirm this works really well. And so this is helpful for people that are having trouble getting into an exchange, especially in these times where you see a ton of activity and a big crash or a big increase, like a huge bull run in crypto, and people want to get into a crypto exchange and the exchanges are just overwhelmed. That's a huge challenge. And so Klever can certainly be a use case with all of that. So keep that in mind. Pretty easy to do swaps. And I'm going to jump into swaps in a minute because this is truly an area of some interesting innovation that they're doing. It's not just like a decentralized kind of approach like a Uniswap. They're doing this in a different way, and we'll cover that in a bit. But I've actually used their swaps, and honestly, I'm a big fan. There's several use cases where I think that's pretty helpful. Very Web3 and dApp friendly. I've never really covered Web3 on this channel. Let me just say one quick thing about Web3. So I actually ironically came across this article yesterday from CoinDesk, and I'm not going to talk about it in depth, but I do want to know from you guys, are you interested in Web3? Is that a technology that really gets you going? This is sort of the undergirdings that blockchain technology allows for us. Think of it as a decentralized web that pulls and rips away the power from the Googles and the Facebooks of the world that simply have way too much power. Listen to me, guys. As a cybersecurity practitioner for most of my life, I can tell you those guys have more privacy power over your lives than you would ever realize. And Web3 can be a game changer in prying away their control and their insight into our daily lives. And so check this article out if you're interested in it. I will put a link in the description down below so you'll have it. And I also, more than that, I want to know, is Web3 interesting to you? Would you like me to cover it in more of a video? It's less about cryptocurrency and blockchain, even though it runs on that, and much more about just a game-changing technology. So give me some feedback on that. But let's go back here. So Klever is Web3 capable. It has it built into the browser, and I'll show that to you in the demo so you'll kind of see how that works. Super easy to use. I've never tried their support, so I can't speak. They have Coinbase style support of like, who knows when they'll get back to you. Are they better than that? This whole military encryption always makes me want to facepalm. Military is some of the worst in cybersecurity, just across the board. Obviously, I know Air Force and NSA have some great cyber operators, but across the board, I always laugh. I'm like, please don't use like military grade encryption or military grade security in your messaging, because it doesn't actually mean anything. Sometimes military is the most easily breached of all organizations I know of. I'm just saying, it's a fact. Tons of language support. That's a really good thing. And what I wanted to do is dive into the white paper just a bit as well. The 4 elements inside of Klever that make it really cool, I want to share each of these, is Klever OS, and we'll talk about why that's pretty interesting, and probably of all 4 has the most to gain from its capabilities. It has the most upside. It has the most potential. We'll talk about the Klever app itself, although I'm really going to show it to you, and the exchange, which is really neat from the swap perspective in Klever Labs. So let's start with the Klever OS. When I think OS, I think like Mac OS, I think Windows, I think Linux, Ubuntu, Unix, one of those major things. And that's not really what they're talking about. Really, they're talking about the entire like WebKit and extensibility to build Klever into all of your apps. And so if I scroll down a little bit, you'll see all of these features. And if you're not a technical user, don't worry about this. The way you should translate what I'm telling you is the extensibility. For Klever to be built into any other third-party app that's being built is pretty powerful. So imagine integration with some payment app or some really cool, dApp that does like NFTs or smart contracts of some kind, very easily integrating directly into Klever. That's pretty cool, giving you that capability for extensibility and just, the whole, Apple style, it just works, is really nice. And so I'm not aware of like a lot of third-party projects that are being used and built upon Klever or integrating with Klever, but it's nice to know the mechanics are here. And so as Klever grows in market share and more people begin to use it, I think we're going to see the capabilities of this really bear out for people like you and me that just want to see things just work, as I just mentioned. So I'm definitely really excited about that. The app itself, it does have a lot of usage, and this is probably the biggest thing I wanted to say, is 200, at least at the time of the white paper, and white papers often go stale if you're not aware. So they're claiming 250,000 users worldwide. I can totally believe that. Certainly very heavily used, 30,000 daily active users. So it's good to know this is a project. It's not so early and so beginning that you've never heard of. And part of that, of course, comes from the fact that it's from Tron Wallet. It is the new Tron Wallet, of course. And so as I go down, I want to talk a little bit more about the exchanges. And hey there, pup. That is the ugliest, cutest little pug I've ever seen. Pugs always crack me up. I don't know why people like them. I guess they're so ugly, they're cute. I have no idea. And I don't know how he made it. Maybe this is like the founder's dog. I have no clue. Anyway, so the exchanges is a pretty interesting perspective. They're claiming like over 1 million transactions a second, which is like ragingly fast. What's interesting about the exchange capability is when you're doing an exchange, or they call them in Klever a swap. What happens is there's bots. In fact, you can see this right here in this paragraph right here. There are bots underneath the scene that are going out and doing price checking to other exchanges, and they're making the swap for you based upon the best price in each of those individual exchanges at the time. And that was interesting to me because the very first time I did a swap in Klever, I was looking to do a swap and I just chose Dogecoin because, hey, why not? We're in that era and age of Elon. And so I did it, and it took like at least 20 minutes for the swap to truly go through. And I dropped the swap through and I'm like, why is nothing happening? I'm not seeing anything happening in the background. And I gave up on it, and I came back later and I had a notification on my phone and it said, your swap has been completed. I'm like, well, that's interesting. I never saw anything happen. I'm used to like immediate swaps because I'm only doing them directly in an exchange or a Uniswap, something like that. And so I had to get used to this idea of the swap takes a little bit of time, but you get the advantages of far lower fees and finding the best price during the swap from each of those exchanges. And so that's the way this works with Klever. And honestly, it's super unique. It does give the capability of keeping fees low, as I just mentioned, and also the advantage of finding the best price that it possibly can find. And so there's not a lot of like platforms that do swaps or exchanges in that form or fashion. And part of the ability to make that happen happen is the quality of the bot itself. And so I'll show you how swaps work in just a second when we jump into the app. And then of course, Klever Labs is the last part, which is sort of just the future for products that they'll be building and additional add-ons inside of the Klever ecosystem, on top of things like the Klever token, which we'll chat about, the Klever Browser, the Klever blockchain. And I have not seen the full blockchain come out, but you notice this here, it's built upon, what is it? Cosmos. Here we go again, my friends. We find yet another project being built on top of Cosmos. Cosmos is sort of this internet of blockchains. It allows for the creation of all of these different side chains. It's sort of like an SDK, a development kit that I can build my own blockchain. And because I build it on Cosmos, anything else built on Cosmos, I can very easily interact with it. And so, man, Cosmos is such a cool project. I've already covered multiple projects that run on Cosmos. So it's really exciting to see the future of Klever, and their blockchain itself will also be running on Cosmos, or is running on Cosmos, which is very, very exciting to me, and really do like that direction. And we'll certainly see where that goes in the longer time. Now, the Klever token itself, we'll get into more price analysis at the end of the video, but Klever is just the base token that you can use inside of the Klever ecosystem. You don't have to use it, but you certainly can. You can use it both for staking. If you use Klever as the centralized currency that you're using to make your swaps, you will get a reduction in fees. Why is that? It's because it's their own native token, right? So they're wanting to reward you for the usage of that. And then long term, you're going to see this, if we get continued adoption, is it'll be a payment mechanism. So you can use it for P2P payments. You can use it for, invoicing and all of those kinds of things. I like that there is a hard limit of 10 billion tokens that will ever be created. So I think that's a really good thing. And then of course, you can review how the disbursements are made. There is a fair amount, 20% goes to the entire foundation, which is the whole Klever group that'll be used for all the operational mechanics involved. The team gets 20% with a vesting of 3 years. And the vesting is important. This is like another startup term, is like when you give somebody equity in something, you vest it over time. That way you don't just give it all to them at once and then they could just leave. It keeps them interested, invested themselves in the product. And that's why they force themselves to vest in this. And that's a big deal. That's important to see. So I like the disclosures here. I like the background behind this. I like that they're clear of what they're doing. You can see all the transparency here, which is certainly a good thing. You can see as well the burn. So there is a burn mechanism inside this where the goal is to reduce the number of Klever tokens that are in circulation, thereby driving the price up. You guys know we cover burning a lot. This is not a burn token though by any stretch or any means. So very excited about that. You can read more about the team if you want to kind of see who the people are behind it, and you see all of them disclosed with LinkedIn. So when we get back to this of like who are the founders, who are the people behind this, this is how we know that Klever is a solid project. We know who's created it, and we know that they've got some skin in the game. So I hope that gives you some good insights into why I think the platform, the innovation is really interesting. The next thing that I want to do is I want to give you a tour through the Klever app. So I've got Klever loaded, and we're going to go ahead and just tour through it with you. So here it is. I'm going to go ahead and open it, and I'm going to walk you through how all this works. The normal things in place for security there, the biometrics that you want to see in place, the encryption of the product, all those things are definitely there. You can see all of that if you go here to settings, and then you go over to looking at the wallet itself. You look at, requiring they call it biometry. I think biometrics is probably a better grammatical term. If you guys are watching, you may want to change that word a little bit. Always asking for a PIN, all that normal stuff. Additionally, as all things soft wallets, let me say a few things about this. One is your backup key is critical. So you've got to save that backup key. I'm not walking you through that. That's not the purpose of this video. You need to have mechanisms in place by which your soft wallets have recovery keys in a way that you can restore them. Whether you keep that in a password manager, whether you write that down and put it in a safe, or you store it in a safe deposit box, or some kind of offline method, you need to think through that. Secondly, people ask me all the time, are web wallets safe? Well, they're safe within reason for sure, but hardware wallets certainly rule the day, and there's a lot of reasons for that, none of which I'll cover in this video. Just know that these are good for trading. They're good for storing some amount of cryptocurrency on them, but just always be aware and careful of how much you do store. So first thing I'm going to do is go back to the very beginning. This is the very bottom left icon here, and this will walk you through just news items that are happening. One of the big things that you'll see is new swaps that happen. So remember we were talking about swaps earlier, and it's a bunch of bots underneath the scene that go out and look for multiple exchanges for that pair, and then they go find the right one for you and then make it happen. That's what they're talking talking about. When they add new swap lists, one of the disadvantages of the way that Klever works is you can only swap for things that they've already pre-built. Now, the advantages are, which we've covered, lower fees and hopefully better prices on the swaps, but you do have to wait until they add them. The good news is, as you're looking through here, there are new swaps they're building all the time. So they're very, very active with it. And I think they have a good eye into, what's out there and what are our users wanting and which swaps should we build. Should it be Tron in this? Should it be Klever in this? Should it be Bitcoin in this? Should it be a stable coin? And they do a good job with that for sure. So you can always check through all of that. You can see other news items that are here. And so the next thing I want to show you is the browser itself. So this is the second icon, and you can bring this up, and this is the Web3 browser. This is the actual Klever browser that I had mentioned before at the beginning of this. And you can certainly just go to any website, just Google or anything else you want to go search for. It's just a normal browser in that sense. But what makes it really unique is the capabilities it has. It becomes very much like a MetaMask in the sense that you, like on a browser, that you can connect in a wallet and make like trading pairs, sort of things like that inside of like a Uniswap. So let me kind of show you how this whole thing works. So here's Uniswap. And by default, if I hit connect wallet, there's nothing there, right? It doesn't work. And so the way that I connect the wallet, let me show you this works, is that bottom right icon that's right there. And this can be confusing for some people, is you click on this. And then since I'm using Uniswap, I need to use Ethereum. So I'm going to switch over to my Ethereum wallet. I tapped ETH, and you can see I have a tiny bit of residue left from a trade, a swap I made before. And I'm going to select that guy. And now all of a sudden notice that it comes through. And it works, and I can use Uniswap, and eventually if they allow BNB, that's another example of like, I could use Pancake with it, that sort of thing. So it's very, very simple to make these swaps work. You don't have to use the built-in swaps inside of Klever to make your trades. You can use classic decentralized exchanges as well, is once you connect your wallet. And that's the power of a Web3 wallet that's built directly into Klever, and is certainly something that's really, really exciting. So this is a little confusing, but to get out of the browser, you click that bottom middle button that's there, and then that kind of takes you back out, and then you can hit the X on the top, and that's how you get out of the browser. The first time I did that, I'm like, how the heck do I get out of the browser? My icons changed, and I was like really, really confused. So that's how the whole thing works. You can see all of your portfolios here. You can, of course, it's got sorting from top down. You can click right here and you can take a look at any of the new tokens that you want to add. And so it's very simple as far as a web wallet goes. It has all the features that you would expect. And then let me show you how the swaps work. So I was playing with some Dogecoin earlier, as I mentioned before, because why not? If I'm going to play with something, might as well play with something like that. And here's how the swaps work. So I'm going to go ahead and go back. Let's say since I've got Doge already in my wallet, then what I can do is if I can type it right, I can just go right to Doge. Here we go. And I bring this up. And so you can see I've got some amount of Doge already in place. And then I can make the swap. So let's say I want to use US dollar, just the stable coin right here. So I'm just going to leave it there. And then I can choose how much I want to do. I can use these percentages if I want to make it easier. Of course, I can hard code in an amount. So let's say I want to do a 50% swap. So I want to take half of my Doge and move it directly into a stable coin. And then I hit next. And what it's going to do is it's going to come back and it's going to ask, what's the speed you want for this, right? And again, because the bots are going and they're doing this through other exchanges. So I'm going to choose regular, and then you can see how much is going to happen here, the fees that are in place, and then how much Doge I'm going to convert, and then what I will be left with. So it's very simple to make this happen. The other thing that you will need to do as well, and this kind of confused me, is you need to click on this top left icon here, and then you need to choose what account or contract you're going to move it to. So just know that you need to do that as well. I'm just going to use my TRX, and then I would hit convert, and there you go. You make the transition that way, and it goes directly into that wallet. And so it's not difficult to make all of this happen. There's definitely just a few steps you want to kind of work through if it's your first time swap, but it is, while it's a little less intuitive, it is easy to do, and I do appreciate the lower fees. I actually used Klever quite a bit when crypto was like really going through that bull run and hitting all-time highs. And then, of course, when it was crashing back down and everyone wanted to make their ETH swaps to get in or get out and fees were super high, I used Klever just as a test and really appreciated that the fees were so much lower. So certainly check this out. Give the swaps a try and see if you like them. And that really covers most of what you need to know as far as Klever itself. itself and its future and potential as a crypto. And so the last thing that I want to do is just jump into the price analysis and give you a picture of what Klever is looking like right now and where it seems to be trending, and let you make your own DYOR decision on if this is the crypto for you. As we take a look at Klever itself, you'll see some good things here that may interest you. A lot of people are always looking for sub $1 tokens or crypto projects that are out there because they feel like they have the most to gain. And while that's sometimes true and sometimes not true, this is certainly one that hits that mark. So we're currently trading at about 6 cents. Looking at the day, it's really kind of gone down a little bit, but not a significant trend, a 10% downward turn. And we'll take a look at the more information in just a minute. It's listed at number 239 as far as CoinMarketCap's rating. So it's there, it's doing well. It could certainly go a fair amount further for sure. You can see the contract itself, it's listed on Tron. And again, remember, things are moving towards Cosmos in the future, but this was the iteration out of Tron itself from the original Tron Wallet. You can see the market cap here. So we're sitting at $227 million. So it's not absolutely, astonishingly high. It's not in the billions of dollars, even fully diluted. When you look at the max supply of 10 billion of what it would be at today's current value is 669 million. So good to know that there, in my opinion, there's a lot of room for movement for sure. And as we look down here at its price, obviously for quite a while, it's been trading really, really low at 0.004. So if you bought in the early days when this was first announced, you're obviously doing quite well, even after what's happened recently. But as we take a look at like the 3-month trend, you can see it's really been pretty stable. There's been some periods of high trading volume that have happened throughout. You can really kind of track its history. Is it really, as crypto went through its really huge bull run at all-time highs, and it actually didn't really stagger and suffer too much from those drops. If we kind of take a look all through May here, it did go down, but not significantly. I think that's because it's been somewhat isolated in its own territory. It hasn't seen the trading volume, it hasn't had the attention, and it's certainly not as large of a crypto and as well known. And so I don't think it was prone to the swings that we saw on a lot of the other major cryptos that are out there. So certainly nice to see this. In my opinion, I am a big fan of what Klever's doing. I like to see the market growth that they've had. I'm especially interested in the innovation that's behind it. And so, always do your own research. Never listen to YouTubers like me. If you listen to YouTubers, you're probably going to go broke, go bankrupt and end up on the streets. So this is why I don't get into price predictions, because no YouTuber really has any idea what they're talking about. It's all speculation. So I will say, do your own research. And if you like seeing this here at 6 cents, which personally I do, I feel like this is one that's got a lot of room for movement in the future. This may be a good investment vehicle for you. Maybe something that you want to look at and really get into. Additionally, there's some other things you may want to look at as well, like the source code that you... that's weird. I know it's there. I was looking at it earlier. Let's see here. Let's go to klever.io. I can't spell it correctly, but Google will be able to spell for me. Yes, here it is. So they need to fix that on CoinMarketCap. But there it is. You can go check out their background, their history as well. So I am definitely very excited about the project. I think it has a lot to gain. I like the transparency, and I think its future certainly looks really, really bright. So I'd love to know what you guys think. Are you interested in Klever? Do you think it's a wallet for you? I think when I think about how it compares to a Trust Wallet, I think Trust Wallet may have much more utility, especially because it's been built by Binance. But I think the innovation that's happening behind Klever, the capabilities that it's got as far as trading and swapping pairs, it's open SDK, open source, some very smart people behind the project, and the token itself really speak a lot for its future potential. I've been using Klever, gonna continue to use it. I really like it, but I'd love to know what you think. Are you a Klever user? What do you think about it? What do you like? What do you dislike? Anything else you'd like to see me cover in the Klever ecosystem, let me know as well. I wanted to give you some exposure to this project because I think it's new enough and it's innovative enough and it's interesting enough to where it's got my attention, but I would love to know what you guys think as well. Hey guys, I really appreciate you watching. If you've enjoyed the video, if you've learned some things, one thing you can do, very simple ask from me, would you hit subscribe, hit the like button and the bell icon, and you'll be able to stay in touch with all the fresh content I've got coming out for you guys, a whole bunch all the time. And by all means, please leave me a comment below. I'd love to know your thoughts on this video or other things you want me to cover. All right, guys, thanks so much.